In this video presentation, we're going to look at the insurance market for students. We'll first look at what insurance is and how it is modelled under strict assumptions. We will then look at the problems that are faced in the insurance market, such as asymmetric information and moral hazard. We'll first touch on what insurance is and why we buy it. Insurance is a way of mitigating the loss we actually feel. By choosing how much to definitely sacrifice now, we can lessen the maximum amount we stand to lose. We then model how we, as students, decide how much insurance to buy. We can look at this in graph form. We start at the initial endowment point E. We can view this as the object that we wish to insure, such as a laptop. You can see along the bottom the value of the laptop minus the value of insuring it, and along the y-axis is the value of the laptop if it was broken. If we choose to insure the laptop, we move to the left of point E, as we in fact lose money because we are insuring the product. However, when we look at the graph, when we move to the left, we also move up. This is because if we are insured, when the laptop breaks, we would be compensated by the insurers, depending on how much insurance we bought. Where exactly we would end up on the graph depends on other factors, such as the likelihood of the laptop getting broken. There are things that we can do to lessen the chance of a laptop breaking, but it is very difficult for the insurer to know the exact likelihood of said laptop breaking. This is the problem of asymmetric information.
In this part, I'm going to talk about how insurance companies can try and stop adverse selection. One way is through risk spreading, where insurance companies form a syndicate. So this means that if the event that's being insured does take place, they only take a fraction of the financial loss. They're not responsible for all of it. This results in lower prices and therefore a greater coverage for students, whether they're risk averse or maybe more risky than average. The key point is that premium charge reflects the expected cost and not the risk aversion of the syndicate, and that the insured pay an actuarially fair price for the insurance. Another option is risk pooling, where companies join to form a pool. We saw in the script that there is a large difference between the expected utility of individuals A and B in the model before and after pooling. We also saw that if more individuals join this pool, the number of possible outcomes increases, and so does the expected utility. As for the market for students, this will see lower prices and more coverage across the board, whether that's for low risk or higher risk students.
We highlight adverse selection in student insurance markets using Akerlof's Lemon model. This table shows the setup and assumptions and a couple of equations on the value and utility that are discussed further in the script. Price here is a disutility, meaning that as the price of a new car increases, buying a used car becomes relatively cheaper and more likely. The vice versa is also true as the price of a new car decreases. Again, we have a graphical representation and two algebraic comparisons that are discussed further in the script. They tell us that there's no market for good cars, as the expected value is below the actual value, so no good cars are bought. For student insurance, this means that only Lemon contracts are signed due to the asymmetric information on the student. All students are charged the same, and students know they're buying a Lemon contract. This is clearly adverse selection. Moral hazard is where one agent's actions affects the outcome for all other agents. The table shows a principal agent model that we can relate to the student insurance market. The algebra shows that students want insurers to do a specific action, B. The conclusion from this is the student participates if their utility is greater than their reservation utility, and the insurer does if their wage is greater than the wage for them performing the low effort action. This incentivizes insurers to pretend they're performing action B whilst actually doing low effort action A. This is clearly moral hazard in action.
As we've seen earlier, a difficulty in determining insurance for student possessions is the problem of assessing the level of risk that each student provides. A solution to this is the addition of independent certification as a signalling mechanism. These could be as simple as a pass-fail system or a graded one. If we modify the Spence model, we can show this could be beneficial to the insurer and student. Firms normally can't see a student's risk and therefore offer the same contract to everyone. However, with the signalling mechanism, the insurer can identify and insure low-risk students and offer a better rate, whilst non-risk students will go out their way to achieve the signal. This provides the insurer with a beneficial situation. High-risk students are far less likely to be seen falsely as low risk, and this increases company profits. Students simultaneously will be taking more precaution to achieve certification, which is an added benefit. However, as participation is voluntary, students may not want to disclose information about themselves or their situation, and if they do, they have reason to manipulate areas in order to achieve high scores. Furthermore, the process of judgment is subjective, and not concrete as when examining something like car quality. Certain areas like forgetfulness or awareness of belongings cannot be quantifiably measured, and are therefore inaccurate.